Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Newstos. Today, Microsoft detailed a new plan for PC gaming that could majorly affect Xbox Game Pass. This is something that will take a little bit of time, but the investment could pay off in the long run. In the short term though, Xbox is having a lot of success with PC gaming, and that was very evident today. We'll go over all of that later on in the video, plus PS5 seems to be hitting its stride just 6 months into its release. We got a creative PlayStation 5 game to talk about, which is interesting considering the amount of criticism Sony has received here recently. In fact, PlayStation themselves said that they are committed to experimental releases alongside their blockbusters, so we'll go over all of that as well. First though, let's start off the video with a next generation upgrade. Yeah, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will be getting a next generation upgrade this summer, and it's free for current owners. Now, we don't exactly have any kind of extensive details on what type of enhancements we should expect, but I am loving this trend where we get these upgrades for all of these great games that launched last generation. You know, even though these aren't necessarily brand new releases, I think this is a great reason to own a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series. That jump from 30 frames to 60 frames alone is absolutely amazing, but then you have things like ray tracing and faster load times with those solid-state drives. It just makes games feel so much better and more enjoyable. And that's the thing, these upgrades increase the longevity of these games' life cycles. I mean, it's great for current owners and everything, but it's also enticing for newcomers as well. If you pick up the Xbox Series or the PlayStation 5, and if you haven't played Jedi Fallen Order, well, I would highly recommend it. As long as the upgrade is done correctly, it would be yet another way to showcase next generation hardware. Plus, it's just a really good game. Now we just need to kind of wait for some more concrete details on how this game is enhanced. Now, last week we talked about a mysterious countdown for the Yakuza spin-off, Judgement. Of course, the Judgement remaster launched on the Xbox Series and PS5 just last week, but it seems like something bigger is about to be announced. Over on the official website, there is a Judgement countdown that ends on May 7th. And more interestingly, back in March, Sega filed a trademark for Lost Judgment. So if you start to put things together, it's pretty easy to reach the conclusion that a Judgement sequel is about to be announced. I mean, that would make perfect sense following the release of the remaster for not just the PS5, but also the Xbox Series. The original game was not on Xbox, and it does seem like Sega is trying to expand the Yakuza fanbase. So the remaster could be a way to get more eyes on Judgement to grow its fanbase even further before releasing a sequel. Well, that speculation of an incoming sequel is only growing stronger now, as Sega has started to release small snippets of Judgement, though in a new setting that wasn't in the original game. Yeah, this seems to confirm that they will indeed announce a new Judgement game when that countdown timer ends. These snippets more than likely are from a new trailer that will be revealed at that time, and that is really exciting. A lot of fans believe Judgement is one of the best installments in the Yakuza franchise, so this should make a lot of fans really happy. Either way, we'll definitely keep an eye on that countdown that ends on May 7th. Next up though, let's talk about Stalker 2. Last year, Stalker 2 was revealed as an Xbox console exclusive, which surprised some people. This is a big game as the Stalker franchise has been very successful on PC, though there is that looming question, will Stalker 2 come to other platforms? Well, it doesn't really seem too promising for the immediate future. GSC Game World, in a recent interview, was asked if it would come to the PS5, and this was their response. No plans for now. We negotiated the possibilities with Microsoft and saw several good opportunities for the brand, including Game Pass. So from this statement, it does look like Stalker 2 will be an Xbox exclusive for the foreseeable future. They apparently did have some kind of a negotiation with Microsoft, so I imagine there is some kind of timed exclusive deal here. As for how long, I don't really know, but what's interesting here is that one of the main reasons they decided to go with Xbox is because of Xbox Game Pass. They clearly see Xbox Game Pass as being a big thing for their brand, and that is something that we're starting to see. These day one releases for Xbox Game Pass are starting to have a lot of success, as we saw just last month with Outriders. That game launched to an enormous amount of success, and I think that will go a long way in getting more day one releases for Xbox Game Pass. Even with Stalker 2, apparently that was a big reason in choosing to launch on Xbox. Let's talk about PlayStation though. Returnal releases tomorrow on April 30th for the PS5. This is one of the first big PS5 only exclusives, and it looks like it's going to deliver a high quality experience. Reviews started to come out today, and it currently has an 86 overall score on Metacritic. For those who are excited, that's a great sign. Really though, I think this game has always been intriguing. I mentioned this before, but every time we saw this game, it looked better and better. And then you also have to keep in mind it's coming from the talented developers over at Housemarque. You know, they've always made really fun games such as Resogun, which was a launch title for the PS4. Resogun was a really good game and one of the better PS4 games that released early on. So it's not really a surprise that Returnal is once again a really good game. It looks like Returnal is set to do the same thing for the PS5, being a good launch window title, though on a grander scale. And that's a big part of this topic, not just the reviews. Returnal is a unique game to say the least. You don't really see big AAA roguelike games like this very often. Well, Housemarque decided to really praise PlayStation for taking a risk with Returnal, and let's check out what they had to say. The concept was ridiculously ambitious, and looking back, we as a company really weren't totally appreciating the challenge ahead of us and how hard it could be to tackle it. In the age when game publishers are taking less and less creative risks, we are truly thankful to our publisher partner Sony, who has given us an opportunity to work on something very risky and has given fantastic support during the whole project. We are forever grateful for having this opportunity. And that is quite the statement. Here recently, there has been some concern that PlayStation will take less risks this generation. They rejected Days Gone 2 because it didn't have high enough reviews, and they also kind of dismantled their Sony Japan studios within the last 6 or so months. That did create a lot of concern, but here in recent weeks, PlayStation's Herman Hulse proclaimed that they are committed to experimental games, and that's one reason they entered a partnership with Firewalk Studios in their upcoming original multiplayer game. So you have that going on, and then also Returnal just released. Really, this is a game that can definitely be viewed as experimental to say the least. So it's nice to see PlayStation still push for creative games like this, and at least in terms of quality, it looks like it paid off with Returnal. I will be interested to see how fans react to it once they start to play it though, and how well it sells in the long term. I'm hoping we see some good results with that because it really does look like a great game. Now, it's still got that arcade-type formula to it that has made past Housemarque games so fun, but with much higher production values, and that is a part of the risk here. Housemarque really stepped up their game by making their most ambitious title yet, and you can definitely tell. Now, it's always been clear that they can make fun games, but I'm really happy to see a studio like this get the chance to show what they can do with a big AAA game. It's nice to see a smaller but talented studio get the chance to move up the ladder, and yeah, it sounds like they knocked it out of the park with Returnal. Reviewers are absolutely praising it for its fast-paced gameplay, and the haptic feedback from the controller is apparently amazing. I've been hearing this is the best use of the PS5 controller other than Astra's Playroom. So that's really cool to hear, and then the atmosphere is something else that a lot of reviewers seem to really like. Nonetheless, Returnal is sounding great, and kudos to Sony for taking a chance on Returnal. I do hope that we see more games like this from PlayStation in the future, and maybe this will help reassure fans that Sony is still indeed committed to experimental releases alongside their blockbuster games. Really though, let's just take a moment to appreciate what the PS5 has done so far this generation. They've put out a strong lineup of games in its first 6 months. Demon's Souls, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Astra's Playroom, Sackboy, MLB The Show 21, and now Returnal are all great first-party games that's released since the PS5 launched. That's pretty impressive in just the first 6 months. Let's talk about Xbox and PC for a moment though. In recent years, Xbox has really tried to break down some barriers when it comes to the gaming world. One big part of that was by making a more unified ecosystem. Instead of Xbox just being a console, they wanted to integrate PC as well. A few ways that they've been doing this is by supporting Xbox Play Anywhere, and they also brought Xbox Game Pass to PC. That right there is the big one though. Microsoft is really pushing hard for Xbox Game Pass, and not just for consoles, but for all their supported platforms, including PC. One problem that they're kind of having though is with their Windows Store. The Windows Store is not well received for various reasons. So in most situations, fans do seem to gravitate towards Steam that has much more robust features and less bugs. That is the go-to PC storefront, and with that, developers will largely support Steam more than other PC stores. Well, one way of combating that is by incentivizing developers to use your platform. So Microsoft has taken a page out of Epic Games' book and matched their 88% revenue cut starting August 1st. So basically this means with every game sold, Microsoft would then take a 12% cut, while developers get 88%. That is a drastic improvement compared to the 70-30 cut that they had prior. Meanwhile, Steam still does take that standard 30%. This is where it gets really interesting, however. Because Microsoft is only taking 12% of the cut, it will make signing deals for Xbox Game Pass on PC easier in the future. And that right there is what you want to hear as a fan. If they can get more support from third-party developers for the PC storefront, they can also get more Xbox Game Pass games on PC. You have to remember that they really feed into one another. Now, we're not going to see any kind of huge improvement overnight per se, but in the long run, this move should end up making Xbox Game Pass for PC even better, and this is likely just a start for Xbox improving on PC. They're still looking to overhaul the Windows Store, and if they can make that better, that will go a long way as well. Now, with that said, they've already been releasing a lot of their games on PC, and that will continue this year with games like Age of Empires 4 and Halo Infinite. In fact, that's something they mentioned today. Halo Infinite will be coming to PC with crossplay, cross-progression, and various graphical settings including ultra-widescreen support. That is really nice to hear. I don't really think some people realize this though, but Xbox has been having a lot of success on PC, especially since they started to release their games on Steam. Today they confirmed that more than 10 million people have played Halo the Master Chief Collection since they released it on Steam back in 2019. What's crazy about this though is apparently the majority of those players are new to the franchise. That just goes to show you why Xbox wants to be on PC. There is a large portion of players there who don't play on Xbox. This is a way for them to expand their user base rather significantly. In fact, we saw a similar thing happen with Sea of Thieves, where it had a lot of success on Steam. So yeah, Halo Infinite might truly be massive this year when it releases. With it coming to the Xbox Series, Xbox Game Pass, and PC, it's going to put up some massive numbers. And that is another aspect to this. Xbox Game Pass on PC will get much better when their now 23 studios start to release their games. At that point, I expect the PC side of things to really grow as well. With that said, let's take a look at the poll of the day. Rumors have really been swirling around here recently that Starfield will release in 2021. We of course have yet to see gameplay, so I was curious, do you all believe the rumors that Bethesda will indeed release Starfield in 2021? Well, 56% of you said that yes, you believe it will be out this year. And I do think that there is a very good chance of this happening. Bethesda's been working on this game for years now, and I would expect a big reveal here soon, likely at E3. However, at the same time, I also know development has been hard for a lot of game studios, especially ones with a lot of moving parts. So I think both Xbox and Bethesda probably does want to release Starfield this year, but I also think that there's a chance that it might barely miss the holiday release and then hit early 2022. I'm not saying that will happen or anything, but I do think it's a possibility. I am personally hoping for a holiday release myself, and it would be huge for the Xbox brand with both Halo Infinite and Starfield coming out in the same holiday. Having two blockbuster titles like that in separate genres could be massive. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.